Sorry.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Judy, where do you come from? I think this is the first time you and I have been on the call together.
I'm from
Oh.
NAMI.
She's our
Yay.
executive director.
I
Oh
am.
my gosh, really?
I
Oh, I should
am.
know who you are.
Surprised.
So glad to meet you.
Likewise.
My
It's okay to be
name's Rochelle.
surprised. A lot of folks are.
I am a registered nurse, a retired registered nurse, and
Okay.
I'm quite active with Moms Demand Action for Sensible Gun Laws. And
Okay.
I am their liaison to the NAMI group.
Oh, wonderful. Nice to meet you,
So,
Rochelle.
You as well, Judy.
Yeah, I want to always come to these, but sometimes my time does not, but they're very important. And then I get the chance to talk to Mark offline too.
Uh-huh.
But today I said, oh, I'm going to
Yeah.
show up
Yeah.
because you got some things I want to hear about. So
I want to
but
share
that was a nice summary, Rochelle. I agree with Mark
Thank you.
for both of them, because I couldn't quite, and both of those are very legitimate, right? The
Mhm.
Black and brown issues,
Mhm.
but I didn't look at it that way, and it makes sense.
I think I just want everybody to work together. You know,
Yeah.
the sheriff is doing this. He is focused on mental health, and God bless him. And he's also the lead stuff is really an alternative to crisis intervention training, and I think it's the next step. I think he's got people in the prosecutor's office, a person there to help, and also I think in the judge. I think in one of the circuit court, he's got somebody helping with issues for diversion. So I think this is a big step. Yeah. So I'm glad you went.
I wasn't clear how the cross group might incorporate the 988 piece.
And they're new to this. So, and honestly, 988 is pretty new as well. So it's got some growing to do to grow into its big boy pants,
Mhm.
or big
Yeah.
girl pants.
Mark, so who was the facilitator last night? For the cross group? The main facilitator, moderator, I mean.
A woman, Maria
Woman.
something.
Yeah. Is she a community activist, or I wasn't sure where she came from? Do you
I'm
know?
not sure either. I
Yeah.
assume she was a community activist.
Right, okay.
She was, yeah.
Hi, Barb.
Hi, Judy. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. So, just interestingly, the Lend a Hand group was Maria applied for a grant, a NAMI grant, to produce wallet cards with resources to give to first responders, to give to people when they go out. And that discussion was really interesting because what are we going to put on that card if we don't know what's going to happen?
Yeah. Well,
That was, interestingly enough, that was done during the first CIT training, Barb.
Yes, I bet it was.
And it's very common. It's a common thing. I really think, I
Yeah.
hope she's going to collaborate with the sheriff on that.
Yeah.
Because,
Maria?
Yeah.
Our Maria, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so those dollars, Barb, NAMI National was offering some dollars. So we can actually change the intent for the dollars.
Okay.
So I asked Maria to fill that out just so she can get that out and in, because we would probably, and that was
Okay.
one of the projects that we named for it.
Okay.
Yeah. But Lend a Hand was very much involved in terms of understanding what the money is going to be used for. So that's something we have to talk about some more, maybe at some point. But
Yeah, if there's some other, right, if there's some other option for that. Yeah.
And Mark, the idea that all of these kinds of things have been done in the past,
Mhm.
it needs to be a sustainable activity. So it's always going to be changing and evolving.
That is the problem.
Yeah.
That is the problem. Because, that was the problem with the original CIT training.
Mhm,
It wasn't sustainable.
mhm.
And the Ann Arbor Police Department turned over most of their senior management within 5 years after the CIT training, and that thing just went, wasn't planned well enough. So,
But
well,
isn't it, at what point is it that you have to try something instead of doing nothing, right? So,
that's right.
I mean, we got to try something. It's not gonna,
That's right.
I mean, I'm just happy that folks are talking about it and looking forward to, you got to just keep showing up and trying something
Yeah.
until we
Yeah.
get it right, because it's so many layers of problems.
Mhm.
This is so many layers. We're not just talking about one thing, and there's all
Yeah.
kinds of
Yeah.
caveats to this.
And Glenn sent an email to Trish and the CMHPS group about the mess that could happen.
Yeah.
When we don't know
Oh.
who to call, what, and whether people are going to be thinking that this is what the millage said, and then they get routed a different way, and it, yeah.
Oh, Barb, I had to listen better. You got a very valid point there. Because just what you just said is, we create these different responses, and then everyone's confused on who to call, because folks are confused on who to call now. And it's
Yeah.
one CARES number.
Mhm. That's right.
Sorry, I didn't hear. I just heard that. It just resonated in that brain.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have my here. I put my wizard's hat on. You see my wizard's hat? I think we're going to get the unarmed response program, and everything is going to come down to how it's going to take a long time to organize, and everything's going to come down to the details on that.
That's just going to be for Ann Arbor, right, Mark?
Just for
Yes.
Ann Arbor, but it'll provide some unarmed responses, and it's a good thing for Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
It'll relieve some of the pressure, but it's going to create additional need for collaboration between 911, 211, the CARES number 3050, and then eventually 988.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
And yeah. And then, yeah, how is it going to all work?
It's a big project. No, I don't think people quite. The thing that I was thinking about last night, and having watched 988 unroll, roll out, is that it's a big project, and I don't think people quite have grasped how
No.
difficult it is. And they're going to do a RFP. That's what they want to do, and the city's got to decide, and it really depends on who they attract for the RFP. It all comes down to the details. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just the first phase of this whole thing. I think. So what do you think about an agenda? I mean, I think this is probably the most interesting thing going now, is this unarmed response, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Mhm.
Let me tell you something that I want to talk about for a second. I sent you all an agenda. There is and it has some links to what's happening with unarmed response, so you can look at that. But there is a really, if you want to get involved with the crisis jam, the crisis, the 988 crisis thing, there is a weekly meeting on Wednesdays at noon, and the link is in the agenda that I sent out. And let me just tell you what I just really discovered at the last meeting. It had to do with, some of it was about the national policy, and I won't go into that. You can see all these meetings. They're all on video, and they're on the website, that the Crisis Now website that I indicated in the agenda. So you can actually go back and watch these. But the prior director of NIMH was on, and what the heck, I've forgotten his name now. My mind has gone blank. But he was saying about 988 that we really should not be thinking of 988 as a call center, but we should be thinking of it as telemedicine. Because there are going to be professional people responding to the calls eventually when they get it organized. And those people are going to be giving professional level mental health interventions about crisis, people in crisis. So it's not just going to be a referral system, or, they will have hopefully will have a crisis, and Washtenaw County already has a crisis response team that goes out, so we will have that. We also have the 750 Towner, which is a crisis assessment center for people to go to if they can't be de-escalated at the place where they find them in the community. So we have two of the big parts of the components for 988, but really it is really helpful to think of 988 as telemedicine, telemental health, rather than simply a crisis call center. So I thought that was really remarkable. That really put my mind in a different place about this. Does that make any sense to you all?
Yep.
It makes more sense than it just being like a 911 line where you're expecting
It's
someone to
not an
respond to a
extension.
call.
That's exactly right. It's not an extension of 911. It's actually telehealth.
Call, Bobby.
It makes a lot more sense to look at it that way, to me, Mark.
Yeah.
So that's whoever they were speaking of that under that Crisis Now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I need to do a lot of catching up on that.
You could go watch those. They're only an hour. There's stuff that you don't have to watch. There's NAMI is represented there, National NAMI, as well as the other partners in this project. It's the place to go to listen to how things are working nationally.
Mark, are you plugged into National's advocacy reports, like when they do? I think there's one coming up. I was invited to one today. Do you also attend those?
No,
okay,
I don't.
Okay.
I don't get the link, but I wouldn't mind doing that.
Okay.
So if you want to put me, because I'm going to get back in touch with Hannah Wasilowski and renew that is a great suggestion. Thank you, Judy.
Well, I thought I shouldn't have assumed, so I said I'm going to stop assuming. I assume you were getting those. And so Hannah's been doing, she does really good work.
Yeah.
And so I will share that with you when you can get that.
Well, I had a connection with CETA deal.
Right.
And when CETA returned.
Help me remind, just real quick, and I'm not trying to take your meeting. So CETA, she had Hannah's old job?
That's right.
Got it.
Hannah got her old job.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Okay, thank you. That helps me kind of.
And I've met Hannah, so we sort of know each other back before everything got disrupted with. So I'm going to put her on the list for the Advocacy Digest and keep her in the loop. Thank you for suggesting that. That's what I need to do. Yeah. So now let me tell you about something else that it's really interesting. We are through MHAM, the Michigan Mental Health Association in Michigan. I've been doing some work with the federal legislation on Senate Bill 2144, which is peers, about allowing Medicare to pay for peers. Medicaid, you can pay for peers under Medicaid, but you cannot pay for it under Medicare. So there's a bill in the Senate now to allow for the payment of peers through Medicare. And we were talking about this Tuesday. This is really important because the Medicare payment structure is what the private insurers follow. So whatever Medicare does, the private insurers do. So you see, it could really open up the avenue for a greater use of peers, not only on Medicare, but also Medicare, but the private insurance policies, you know, Humana, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, those guys. So this is really important because there's such a workforce shortage and one of the ways out of it is to expand the use of peers and peer specialists and certifying peer specialists. So I was put into that. Marianne, I attended a meeting and actually I'm starting to do a series of interviews with peers. And our first interview that I did was with Lisa Porzondek. Do you know Lisa?
I of course do, but I don't think Judy
I
or
don't.
Lisa Porzondek is a mental health consumer. She's on the Consumer Advisory Council, and she does some ending the silence work. And she also is on the Consumer Advisory Council for the regional entity, the PIHP, as well as Washington County. And I'll send you the link of the interview, the video interview. She not only has used peers as a consumer, but she has been a peer for a private client that she works with who has Alzheimer's. And she provides peer support for her this Alzheimer woman's daughter, who has bipolar and schizophrenic. So it's a very interesting. The peers run throughout her story, you know, and the importance of peer. Yeah. Hi, is somebody on that I can't see?
Barb, I see you twice.
I do too.
Oh, I'm on twice. Why is
Yeah,
that?
you're twice, Barb.
Oh shoot.
Nijar Johar.
Johar. Yeah, why? How did I get on twice? Do I need
Unless
to?
someone's using.
Yes, hello, he says. Okay, hi, Nijar. Nijar, have I pronounced your name properly? Yes, okay.
So Barb, either someone's got your name or.
Somebody's coming in as me.
Yeah.
I don't know who that would be.
Okay.
And oddly enough, that person is muted.
Now they're me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not me. There must be someone that's kind
Well,
of.
so
Maybe.
they're
Another
okay.
Mark.
Mark, I had a question about Senate Bill 2144. Is that a national
Yes,
Senate bill or is that just Michigan? Okay.
it's a federal bill.
Okay, federal. Thank you.
What
And
is it again?
it's cited in the agenda, 2144
Oh, okay.
for the use of peers for Medicare.
Okay.
So I'm going to send you the link to I'm going to send you the link to the to our interview, my interview with
Lisa.
Lisa.
It's up. Good.
And I'd love to hear your comments about it because people don't understand how peers are used and how pervasive they are.
So Mark, what? Uh-oh, I can't. Mark, you have the ability to mute that person.
Yeah, I don't know who it is though. Do you?
Nope.
It keeps changing names.
It
Yeah,
doesn't sound like someone that's interested in our meeting.
I
No.
don't know. Yeah.
Hmm.
I would if I knew which one, and I don't want to. Oh, there's two. Now it says two Nijar.
Mhm.
I'm going to eliminate one of those. And I apologize, Nijar, if I have eliminated you for sure, but that seems to be, I hope that's the person that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see.
Okay.
So Mark, when I hear you speaking of, I just want some clarification, if I may, the use of peers as a solution for some of the workforce shortages in the area of mental health.
Yeah.
So the peer support are, I guess it can look different in different ways, but my thought is this would be paid roles, right?
Yes. Some of it, that's the critical thing, is some of it is paid. Like Lisa is paid for her work and she really is working as a peer, a home health aide as a peer. And the family pays for her, you know.
Mhm.
So have you, and I'm just throwing this out there as a wild card, have
Yeah.
you heard of any proposed legislation? They're back.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
remove the other one.
Okay.
If that's the real one, I'll remove the other one.
Yeah.
Proposed legislation about, because a lot of peers get Medicaid, or not Medicaid, but disability insurance,
Mhm. Yes.
which is keeping a lot of folks from obtaining jobs because they don't want to lose that.
Yes.
Mm.
That is the
So,
case with Lisa, actually.
and it's really frustrating, even for us, when I want to hire someone who has these amazing skills, but they can only work 10 hours a week because they don't want to lose that benefit that they
Yes.
so desperately need that would outlast NAMI probably.
Yeah.
So did you know of any kind of legislation somewhere that may
I
address
don't.
that?
I know the problem, and I know that Lisa has that problem
Okay.
herself. So that's why her case is so interesting. It involves so many aspects of this, of how pervasive important it is to use peers and how difficult it is.
But you know, it's like some people are working, but they can't make more than a certain amount of money,
That's right.
and they're better off not working sometimes.
Yeah. So that's a kind of interesting angle that we're now. And Judy, you know, we remember last term we were talking about using interviewing board members about peers. Well, that's
This is very
okay.
disruptive. I
Okay.
don't think we can have anyone that name.
I can mute him. There we go.
Has this person ever been to our meetings before?
No, I don't know this person, so. Anyway, what I'm going to do is really just also use that interview to talk to our board members in the way that we talked about it last time. So
How do you like my whistling? Do you like my whistling?
there we go.
Do you like my whistling?
I'm going to have to remove this guy again.
No, wait, or I will bomb your meeting with 100 people.
So
Mark, I
anyway,
think you need to take him out and don't let him back in.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, but doesn't seem to be working very well.
I'm sorry.
So,
And maybe
We had a heckler there, but we lost Rochelle.
yeah, Sorry about that. Okay, so where were we? Oh
I
yeah,
had taken you
I
off.
just
I'm sorry
wanted
because I
to
asked you that
update you
question.
about using the interview as a way of getting information about our board and and treating them as peers, because
Okay,
I think we need to think of peers not just as peer specialists, paid peer specialists, but unpaid and people who, I mean, everyone on our board really is um, is acting in a capacity not as an expert but as a peer.
okay,
You know,
yeah.
so anyway, we'll see how that goes. And thank you, Judy. I'm working with Madison on developing a way to keep track of the consents forms for Story Jam.
Oh, good.
And we had a good conversation this afternoon. And oh, there's Rochelle. Good for her. Hi,
Good.
Rochelle. Thanks for coming back.
I came back in on my cell phone rather than on my laptop.
Okay. So
So the consent form is going to be online, Mark?
yes, she's going to have copies of all the consent forms.
Okay,
And she's going to be the repository for them all, so that when she'll know she can put on the YouTube channel and make accessible. And so,
Okay.
there's quite a lot of coordination that has to go into that.
Does she know, is she familiar with that? Does she know how to do that?
Good question. We'll see. Yeah.
Okay.
आप वीडियो बना रहे हैं बताएं क्यों
Okay. What a weird deal. I guess
We're being hacked.
That
We're
would
being-
happen the day that I show up at the meeting.
it must be you, obviously. Well, so that's quite a lot's going on, I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So we covered the crisis now thing. There is Judy, I have done a 4-minute, 11-second video on introducing Crisis Jam to send out to all the people who, so to kind of to get people to come to do Crisis Jam.
Oh, good. Okay.
And so I'll send it to you, and we're going to have to coordinate it, because I do say call the office for the next available Crisis Jam. So obviously we're going to have to coordinate on that.
Okay.
And that can go on the website as well. So we can change that as you see fit. But
Okay.
yeah.
Hey, Mark, when we
Yeah.
think about the crisis lines, just another comment I wanted to make that I picked up last night in the conversation is that both of the groups are coming, I would say, to the crisis from the very beginning in a helpful manner.
Yeah.
Whereas the police normally would go to a situation with defense and protection and violence in mind. Whether
Mhm.
you look at the cross proposal or the lead one, they come with a helping heart.
Yes. Yeah.
And that sort of thought, oh, well, that's different from
Yeah.
the very beginning.
I agree. And they've got to be able to sort those out at 911, because a lot of
Mhm.
calls, no matter what new number comes available, they're still going to go through 911.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of confusion
So
initially.
you have to have a process that there's no wrong door, because there's many doors into this
Yep.
world. You just have to have it coordinated so everybody knows is doing pretty much the same thing, So 911 refers calls and 211 refers calls. It's going to get complicated but the people are still going to call different numbers,
Yeah.
I just don't think there's a way around it. You know, Ann Arbor City has its own telephone number. You can call them, the city police,
Mhm.
you know, not go through 911, but call through to the city. And that's where you go to find out where your car is when they
Yeah,
when it's been towed. I know
Yeah.
that. I can tell you that.
yeah, so, yeah.
Mm.
And, you know, when my mom was sick and she fell on the floor and we couldn't pick her up, we called the police, not the 911.
Mhm.
Mm.
How did that work?
Well, I'm not remembering very well, but I know they came out and picked my mother up quickly, and it was all done.
All done.
Yeah, it was the EMT people that came.
Oh, I was going to say,
Mhm.
I would imagine that's what they would do, the EMT.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know, when you're in crisis and you can't think,
Hmm.
that's really hard. You know, with facing
Yeah.
the hodgepodge of numbers, and
Yeah.
it's yeah,
So you're usually more likely to just call the first one you can remember.
yeah.
And then hope that you get the right, they divert you to the right
Right,
group.
right place. Yeah,
Well,
So,
a lot of changes, a lot of big stuff. Just, yeah.
yeah.
you want to look and see what the town hall, you know, Ann Arbor City did a survey of people for the town hall. Do you want to look at that data?
Sure.
All right, I'll get the screen share going here. It's number 2. So here's the data. What am I doing here? They had 2,560 responses into this survey they did. And they, let me show you the survey. Here's the survey. You've got $24 million to spend. This is the ARPA funds, the rescue plan, federal money. And Ann Arbor has 24 million. How would you spend the $24 million? And then you could go and add on each one of these, you could add a dot. In each one of these dots, I think is 500,000.
Mm.
So it's a way of recording what people think that should be spent. And each one of the areas, like property acquisition for affordable housing, they had identified $3,500,000. So if you wanted to do that, you could add, I'm just doing that now, 7 dots, and it takes it off from above. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
Those dots went from here down to here.
Are you, Mark, you're not sharing your screen though?
Oh, I'm
No.
not?
No,
Mm-mm.
I keep looking for it and I'm going,
Okay. Okay, sorry. How's that?
okay,
Yeah.
that's better. Yes.
Okay, you see the dots?
Mhm.
So if you wanted to do solar facilities, I can add 17 dots for $8,500,000. And it takes it off above. You can see that now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so you know, you could add 14 dots, and that takes away that amount of money from the 24 million.
Mm.
So that's how they did that survey.
Hmm.
So obviously, we'll go back to the responses. Let's see, summary. Sorry, here we go. This is the responses, the 2,560 responses. So the biggest respondents were for the solar facilities on city, facilities, 15.4%. The next biggest was the galvanized water service line replacement.
Huh.
11% of the people voted for that. And then 11% went for property acquisition for affordable housing, which obviously they
Affordable
were
housing.
sampling among a pretty progressive group.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So,
I'm disappointed that only 2,500 people responded.
Yeah.
well, there you are, yeah.
Hmm.
The unarmed response got 6.8%. That's down here. But the Gallup Park Bridge got 9.2%. It looks like most of them were voting for infrastructure, infrastructure things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to make sense of.
Yeah, it is.
It is, especially when you go down even further, scroll down to the ranking.
Yes. That you say is as a ranking, right? So human and social services was ranked first, affordable housing next, and water quality third, above carbon neutrality.
Now remember, those two parts of the survey were independent of each other.
Yeah,
So you put your dots in first, and then
Yeah.
the next page, they said what's of highest priority to you. So the two things really don't match up.
no.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, that was, I don't know quite what you can make out of it. That was City of Ann Arbor. That they've got 24 million is important, and that a lot of people were concerned about infrastructure rather than a lot of other things, I think, in terms of the allocation. There were a lot of Vision Zero implementation. That was the climate change. That was not the highest one, but it still was. So anyway, I'm not sure what they're going to make of this.
Yeah.
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 Okay, I'm going to stop that. So, anyway, it's a lot of, this year is just going to be really pretty amazing. I think we're going to be really busy. I'm also working on a plan for the candidate survey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Rochelle's very nicely agreed to help on some of that. So I'm kind of playing catch up a little bit. So I'll be back to you, Rochelle.
Okay.
But I mean, I think this is one of those things, if we can learn how to do this without, straining too much, it can be a high visibility, keep mental health in front of the people as an issue and in front of candidates. So I think it has some advantages, even if we don't influence the voting.
Mhm.
It showcases us, and it pushes mental health issues, so that where more people have to think about them, especially the candidates.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So there you are. So how can we help you do what you're doing, Judy? Or what's
Well, this is helpful because I was able to just pop in and kind of see what you all had on the agenda. So, because to be quite honest, it's really a challenge to keep what's happening at the local level and then what's happening at the national level, and that kind of filters out to all the states
mhm.
and then everything else that's going on. So I'm trying to figure out a way to, so this has been really helpful, just letting me know what the priorities, what's happening in this committee,
Yeah.
in this group. And that's why I stopped in at that meeting last night. And then the WEP folks. And yeah, I mean, I've got, it's so much, it's so many things, and it's the same folks trying to solve all the world's problems in this community. I mean, I'm seeing the same folks show up for,
Yeah.
it just, that's a concern to me, because
Mhm.
so many folks that are already stretched are stretched.
Mhm.
And I'm just not understanding, but people, you know, you can't make people become involved. I'm just not sure how to get more folks in the community involved. We were talking about that at the board level, right? I mean, when we talked about, you know, new board members, we've got a lot, we don't need another PhD. All due respect to PhDs, but we don't need another PhD. We need someone that's in the community that is actually the folks that we're trying to reach. And even in on a lot of these, I don't know, I'm focusing on things that I can bring about some change and not getting pulled in a million different directions.
Judy, there was some really interesting thing that came out of the Millage Advisory Council. Jamal Buford, who you know is a wonderful person, is developed a proposal for a youth education program for music, arts performance, and I forget the third thing.
Yeah, I saw that. I was listening into the last meeting and they approved it.
Yes.
But isn't it specifically for Sycamore Meadows?
It's the group. It is the group. His group is in Sycamore Meadows. Yeah. But I sent him a message saying, you know, whatever we can do to help you,
Absolutely.
let us know. Because I think the way to really dealing with mental health in communities is not to bang on so much about serious mental illness and suicide and stuff, but really deal with some wellness issues, and creativity is the easiest way to do that. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's what that whole, it was supposed to be about, that the Robertson's lecture was supposed to talk about.
Oh, I
more of
wanted to
that.
say, I thought you did a great job, by the way.
That was really difficult. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
It was really difficult because we didn't really have a plan on what everyone was speaking on, but that was a big piece with the arts and how, what you're saying, right, build some wellness into, which is the perfect time because everyone is focused on the unwell, which we got that, and we're going to have more of that. But we still have a lot of folks that I think encouraging wellness and helping. And as you mentioned before, the folks that are isolated are just really struggling. I just see that in the work that I do day to day. So good on Jamal.
Yep. And also, I think, did you also listen to Derek Jackson's explanation of what the sheriff was doing with the revenge shootings?
No, I didn't hear that one. I came in late. Was that it during that same Millage
Yeah, it
advisory?
was, yes, but at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, I missed the beginning, the very beginning.
I missed some of that too. So I didn't hear all of it.
That's interesting. Is
But
that taped?
I don't know how they tape that. I do think they tape it, but I don't know if it's accessible.
They don't tape the meetings as far as I know.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because that sounds great. Maybe it'll be in the minutes.
Definitely. And I asked Derek if he would send me his slide deck,
Okay,
and I will send that on to you.
if you could share that.
But
What's the gist of that?
The gist is that a lot of shootings are people who do not want to get involved with the police, and it's kind of a revenge. You know, people are fearful. You know, they seeing the people that they have had violent experience with every day, and it's like, you know, the murder rate is up twice what it was. So that means we had 10 murders in 2020, and we're at the end of 2021, we're up to 20. So it's a doubling, but it's not But still, he says a lot of those are people who don't think there's any other avenue except to strike first. And
Oh,
so he's using peers who have experience with community violence to go out and de-escalate in emergency rooms and on police calls where shootings have occurred. Barb, did you listen to that as well?
yeah.
I think that one slant that I heard was these are victims of violence who think that since they're a victim, they're more likely to be shot again. So they want to prevent that by shooting first.
Oh,
So he was talking about a lot of people who have PTSD and other issues.
so they're taking the matters into their own hands as
hands.
opposed to calling the police?
Possibly,
Hmm.
Well, I thought that was, and they're using, the point that I'm like is that they're using peers. They're using people who have experience with violence
I
to
think,
go out and do this work and de-escalate situations.
is that kind of modeled from that program that was happening down at Grace Hospital in Detroit, where you had that? I met this doctor when you and I would go to the Flynn Foundation breakfast. He was a emergency medicine doctor, young man who kept seeing all these shooting victims come in. And so they started this program to have those victims do work in the hospitals with, people who had been victimized or shot. Now they're coming back to do work in the hospital to diffuse and help prevent that from happening again.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's modeled from.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because it's mind boggling, when you're going to these kind of if you haven't experienced that kind of trauma in your life, it's very difficult to know where it's coming from. So the first thing people want to say is, I just don't want to live near those folks. I don't know what that is. They're all this, they want to live like that. So it sounds like, and that's what I like about Derek. He's trying to get to the root cause of some of this. Because I'm just dumbfounded because that neighborhood is not far from me. I mean, it's a long walk, but it's about 2 miles. And when I hear the sirens, I know where they're going. And if it was just food and housing, that'd be easy, but it's more than that. And I think that's what I hear him saying. That's interesting. I would like to know more about that. So if you get the slides.
If I get, if I get he should be getting back to me, so we'll see. Yeah.
There's so many things. There's so many different things in this community that are going on. And I have to kind of come back to what I can do into what's into that NAMI realm. We are here to support those that live with mental illness and those families who are affected by it. Because if I get off into so much other,
I totally get it. That's why I'm getting the feeling about the Ann Arbor stuff that basically I think we've done about as much as we can. And in terms of NAMI, and the next phase is going to be when they pass something. I thought the city administrator was really very interesting last night.
Did he speak last?
Yes.
Yes.
Is he a black man? Is that a black man?
Yes, he is.
yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
And he was very, very smart guy. He was saying, look, I'll do what, this is a political decision and I think you're on the right track. I agree with you, but I'm going to, but there's a process that we know it has to follow. And
well,
he was supportive, but not gonna
What-
say,
Like he's saying, it's not gonna happen overnight. He's got to he hasn't even been in the job, since October?
yeah.
Yep.
It's a shame I didn't catch that he was the administrator.
Yeah.
I have my own bias too that I'm unlearning. I
Yeah.
was just surprised that it was a black man that was gotten that position. So
What
I'm
did you
unlearning.
think?
I'm unlearning as well.
No, well, God, we all are. Rochelle, what did you think about the city administrator?
Well, I thought he was very careful in
Mhm.
his response. I think there was somebody, it may have been the moderator, who sort of took after him because of his vague answers.
Mhm.
Yes.
Or she interpreted them as vague answers.
Mhm.
I was hearing a man in a political position saying, hey, I'm new here and I work for the city of Ann Arbor. I work for the people. And this is certainly possible, but I'm not ready to commit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're a good listener, Rochelle. Yeah. Yeah. Because I was trying to figure out who he was and what he was saying, but I would agree. He wasn't making any promises. He doesn't know enough yet.
No.
I'm wondering if he's even from the community.
No.
Well, clearly. Well, I shouldn't say clearly. That's not fair. Yeah. So
I want
he
to say he
doesn't
came
know.
from Texas.
Oh, wow. See, and because it seemed like he was a transplant. Is that a bad word? Pardon me if it's a
Realistic.
bad word.
Yeah.
He just seemed like a real newcomer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm like, well, who is that man? But good for him, because he can't make any promises. He didn't even know what he got into.
I was glad that they had him because it grounded the thing in at least some reality. And he didn't have any problems saying what his position was. He wasn't apologizing. He was just saying,
He just was saying what it is.
it's right.
I
That's
loved
how
it.
I read it. Yeah.
I loved it. Just tell the truth.
Yeah.
This is it. It is what it is.
One of the meetings, there was a meeting that we met with Aubrey Patino and Lisa Jackson. Lisa Jackson is the director of the Citizens Oversight
Sorry
Group.
about it.
Yeah. And so Barb and I and Glenn met with those two folks before the meeting at 4. And just to see where there was areas where we could find agreement. What did I've been processing that all day, Barb. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, I just felt very emotional, and I was responding at an emotional level rather than a cognitive level. And I think, we all are there.
Mhm.
And but I thought it was difficult for all of us, and we all have our own experiences and our own reasons for being at the table. But it was personally, it was hard for me. And I don't know how you felt.
It was hard for me. I've been, like I said, processing it all day. They were, everyone in that group, they really, the second meeting, the community meeting, mirrored the level of personal feeling of frustration and anger.
Mark, so this is the meeting that you attended prior to the cross meeting yesterday? I'm sorry, I'm gonna do better with my listening. And who was there? Aubrey
Patino, the director of Avalon, and Lisa Jackson, the
Police Oversight Commission.
She's a professor at the university and the director of the Police Oversight Commission, the Ann Arbor Police Oversight Commission.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And the questions to you were, what was making it so emotional? What was making it so difficult, I mean?
It was, hearing everybody's personal experience And you know, just, you know, I felt compelled to, at some level, to share things about myself that I usually don't share.
Uh,
Actually, that can be good.
It can be, but it's also unsettling.
That brought that kind of thing up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you know, it's like you hear somebody talking and then they talk about a personal experience that has to do with, you know, where they're at this point in time. And
It's almost like triggering a little bit. No.
well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of emotional baggage that I carry around, and sometimes it blinds me to what's actually happening.
And you know, and it's fair, Barb. It's fair. Everybody's got some kind of cross that they bear. And I think when people know the truth, because we all have so much bias, we can look at you and make surmise of what we think your life has been like. And until we teach some folks, well, my life has not been that way, it creates a better understanding and a better move towards solution finding. So I'm sorry that brought that up for you. I don't know, it made you uncomfortable. I just,
no, but I'm sorry, I didn't.
it's just so powerful though. I wasn't even there, but I think it's so powerful when people, it's case in point, Yodit shared something yesterday. Her story when the police, whatever her situation or experience with the police. And I had an aha moment with about my experience with the police and then my experience with her. And it just made for more grace and understanding me towards her.
Yeah, and I think for me I wasn't sure that what I was sharing had anything to do with fostering understanding and dealing with the issues at hand. So I'm sorry, my power is running low.
I wish I had been there. So did
but
I ask you
think,
that, Mark? What was the purpose of that pre-meeting?
It was the Committee for Mental Health and Public Safety, which consists of Glenn, Marilyn Watanoia, Barb, and me. And our response, you know, Glenn has developed a website where he has all the various variations of respondents. It's a really interesting thing, and so they wanted to get together and see where we supported their cross proposal.
Yeah, and I think also, Judy, that these you know, things that are difficult are not necessarily bad.
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's like, you know, I need to learn more about myself in terms of how to.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Talking about a learning curve, I've learned so much in the last 2 years that I didn't know. I've been embarrassed to say I didn't know.
But yeah.
Unlearning, relearning, and going, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's not my experience.
Yeah.
Or that is my experience.
Yeah, and I feel, yeah. mean, I think that's, yeah. We just have to keep talking.
I agree. I agree, Pat, Mark. I called you Pat and Mark, Barb. I know who I'm talking to. It's 6 o'clock.
Yeah, so we should hang it up. But I mean, obviously, I had the same feeling as Barb did. I really had because I felt more not, like at both those meetings, it was a bit of an overload,
Mhm.
and
It was an overload. I felt energized because the meeting prior to that was stuck in the mud and nobody
Yeah.
was saying anything.
yeah, gotcha.
But it is an overload because everyone has a different experience
Hmm.
and everyone argues their experience was the
Mhm.
worst.
For the most important.
Right. Or I like the most important. Right. It's just tough. It's difficult.
Yeah. But I think that people are willing to divulge their experiences, and I don't know if divulge is the right word, but willing to talk about it is just.
Well, you have to, because clearly
Yeah.
if we don't, we're just going to repeat it again, or there will never be a solution. We can't keep sweeping stuff
Mhm.
underneath the rug.
Yeah, and I just think I think they've got a successful issue. I think they should. I wish they would rejoice at their success, but I think they're going to be successful.
I do too, and I think it's doable. I mean, in a smaller community, even though Ann Arbor's not that small, I think it has a more chance of happening there.
Yeah.
And hopefully, fingers crossed, it can be a model for other communities.
And I think everybody really wants to make it as perfect as they can, as quickly as they can. And my feeling is it just takes time to do these things. And you want something that you can build on, but it's got to be built. It's not going to just happen.
No. And I mean, Ann Arbor doesn't have, I don't know. I mean, I don't have any data to back any of this up. But you don't have, it's not like, even though Detroit's much larger, you've got so many other pieces. You got the mentally ill, you got the disenfranchised, you have the poor. I mean, you don't have a bunch of poor folks in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
You got a lot of mentally ill folks everywhere, but you don't have some of the other societal issues in that community.
Right.
So it'll be easier to kind of tackle. And I would be completely wrong, but the way I look at it is.
And yeah, it's an elitist community.
Yeah. And so you're not going to have the multitude, because just that little neighborhood, Sycamore Meadows, the problems over there seem like they just have mushroomed. And it's mind-boggling. And yeah, so
Okay.
Good on them. Good on them for trying something.
Well, I think we can kind of, I feel like we can kind of take a break. We've done Glenn has done a tremendous amount of work, and we can have, we're going to have an influence over the decision. And I think we're all in agreement that we ought to do it. So I'm pretty optimistic.
I am too. I think if any place to start it, and in the thinking about our Rosser.
Yeah.
Like I said, she's a family friend. Well, she was. I know her mom, and just what had happened to the whole family. But her daughter, her daughter is really excelling and doing very well.
That's great.
Great.
Just has a wonderful life and doing very well. And her mother went through hell, of course, but she's coming back and she's doing well. As that was very traumatic and horrific for her to lose her daughter that way. So there's a bright side of all of that, but yeah. So that's what I see in Ann Arbor. When I used to work at the county, and folks would be standing outside of Fourth Avenue and some of the comments that I would hear from folks who worked in that building, and I would
Mhm.
defend those folks that were standing outside.
The
Don't talk
annex,
about
yeah.
them. It would just really make me angry at the way folks talked about the mentally ill.
Mhm.
So that's the biggest piece. And I think that Ann Arbor can tackle that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
We should go home and have dinner.
That's right. Before
my-
we sign off, I wanted to share something with Judy because your response was appropriate. The lead headline was Ann Arbor hires first Black administrator in 40 years.
Oh,
Um,
thank you for that, Rochelle, because I was, shame on me,
Yeah.
but I kept like, who is he? I did not think that was an administrator.
Well, we make progress, but it surprises us. And he actually came from Arizona. He has experience in Arizona, Ohio, and Kentucky.
Thank you, Rochelle. I appreciate that. I just had to say it. It was like, what? That was the administrator? Great.
Mm.
But yeah, I
Yep.
did scratch my head. So there's progress.
Yes.
You know, that's important to remind ourselves. We do make progress. So
You know, everybody's doing the best they can. Oh, I hope that everyone's doing the best they can.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Barb, you have a good night.
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
all.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Good to
Rochelle.
meet you,
Thanks,
Rochelle.
Barb. Thanks, Judy.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Judy, I have just one quick thing.
Sure.
I took Lisa Doramos's